Howdy, folks. Alan B. Pro here. Man, foreign and domestic last week. I wasn't able to attend, had technical issues. This week, Scottish American had some technical issues, um, or some kind of issues. Um, very, very much by myself here at Kingpin, but nevertheless, start off in the present manner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Uh, yes, good evening, folks. Man, by myself at the moment, the link is out in the side chat. If anybody does want to join me, until then, it very well might be a very short chat. Here in here in Iowa, uh, they do things a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to everywhere else, and maybe they do it in other places. Howdy, Tim. Yeah, MCK out there, Insight Freedom, JH586, Razor JB, Kingpin, totally out there. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I had never really heard of what's called Beggar's Night. And Beggar's Night seems to be, I don't know, I don't have kids out here, but it seems to be the night before Halloween, not Halloween night. I don't get it. It's when you take your kids around and do the thing. Um, and nevertheless, yeah, may not be on here for too long, JH. The So yeah, night before Halloween, here in black, and having a slight nightmare. Nevertheless, had a little technical issues on my side last week. Couldn't do the chat. This week, Scotsman's got a little to do about that. I bet. Yeah, Scotsman's probably walking his kids around, whoever they are. Um, yeah, I think he's having a little technical issues on his side. Um, nevertheless, there's been a few things that I've been into. Well, howdy, Redbird. Howdy. There's been a few things that I've been doing and into. As most of you probably know, I picked up a Sig X10 and absolutely digging it. It's eaten everything that I've given to it so far. And the only thing yet is the optic has not come in for it. I did order an optic for it. And there's two things that I'm having trouble with, though, with that X10 is one, nobody's making holsters for it that are financially viable or of like a Safari Land security type holster. I If I'm going to be carrying this thing around, I'd like to have an ALS GLS holster. I don't want this thing coming out in any way, shape, or form, especially if somebody else tries to grab it or um, I'm just on a bike, it comes out, whatever the case may be. But digging the X10 so far, just not the holster availability and magazines. Magazines are pretty much unattainium right now. You can't get magazines for the X10 so far, and I'm not really digging that. But so the X10 is doing great. The X10 is doing great. I do have a couple of other pieces coming in for 320 upgrades going on. A lot of people are getting out of their 320s just because of some of the news and some of the reports that you've seen out, heard out. Everybody hears the news. Um, And so there might be 320s available coming around that maybe it was just one thing or another, but I do like the 320s. The modularity of the chassis, everything else, completely innovative. SIG's been doing a good job on really pumping out some innovation. Um, am I going to be modifying? Um, am I going to be modifying my daily carry uh, to to accept the 17 round magazines on the P365 and turn it into a X365 or whatever the fuck they're calling it? Yeah, the X Micro. Um, yeah, it's two more rounds than what you're getting in an XL. Um, and that's actually very interesting and very intriguing for people that want to be carrying these 365s. Jamie, how the heck are you, good sir?
I'm okay, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Other than tonight, we've got all the parents taking their kids around and doing what they call beggars night.
Well,
I
what kind of?
guess it's the regular trick or treating night out here, and I never quite understood that when I first came out here. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're going to take your kids to beggars night." And I hear these parents talking, and I'm like, "Beggars night? What are you guys talking about?" And it's basically trick or treating the night before Halloween, um,
That way you can
because I
go back
guess
tomorrow night and get even more candy. Is that what I'm feeling here?
well, it's like the people that have the kids and send them out there. They do it on beggars night, and then Halloween out here is more of for the adults.
Oh, okay. So I've been seeing Sig 320s as I was getting on the computer to join you. I heard a little bit about what you were talking about. I've been seeing those for around the $500 mark, and that to me is at least where I live. That's a pretty significant price drop.
Yeah,
Am I missing something?
they've gotten a lot of they've gotten a bad rap with supposedly a number of them going off in holsters and um, so forth. I don't quite understand how. Um, I tear mine down, and I can totally see what they're that. There's no way this thing's going to go off without pulling the trigger. So I'm not quite sure how that's happening.
They had issues with those when they first came out too, if I remember correctly. Um,
Well, the
inside,
first 320 that I purchased, I waited. I didn't go out and buy the freshest thing on the market. I normally don't. Um, I waited and waited, and I bought mine, and then within like 2 days or 3 days is when they came out with the drop fire thing. I'm like, great. Here I held off on buying one, and all of a sudden, here's this gremlin.
yeah, it's like your timing is impeccable. So, what is the X10 and the X carry? I'm trying to catch up here.
Oh
Is
well, the SIG X10 is a 320 in 10 millimeter,
That's
full
what I
size
thought.
in 10 millimeter, and so it's actually just a little bit bigger than the X series. So when SIG came out with the 320, then they came out with the X series, and the X series, instead of having a rounded bulbous kind of grip, was more of a squared rectangular style grip, and so a lot of people prefer that feel rather than the round grip. The Yeah, the magazines for the X10 I just recently saw a video. Somebody was having problems with the mags, and there's even from the reports that I've heard from SIG, not going to see any mags for a minute. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe they found out there were some problems with the mags, but I haven't had a problem yet. About I've I've put 400 rounds through that pistol so far. I haven't had a flaw one. Um, but the X carries is a 320 in the carry size variant, and just the X model. Um, it was early optic ready and flat triggered. Um, I believe all the X models have flat triggers, which I positively prefer.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to get used to a flat trigger, just shooting a hook trigger for the longest time.
Okay. Insight said he's throwing up dollar signs too. There's MCK. What's up, buddy? Mid size, like that would be like uh, a compact, but not a subcompact. Like your I'll talk about what I know. Springfield XDMs are like really, really big. Like they're like duty size, then plus a little bit more for basically competition. I would take it. Then you got the full size, duty size guns, which is kind of like the XD or um, and I'm still learning about the mechanics and all that. I'm not a new firearm type of guy. I'm a FUD, okay? I admit it. I just don't think like one. So, anyway, then Insight says the X carry is the mid G19 size, so it would be that compact, like the Smith and Wesson M&P compact, rather than the full size M&P. So we've got these different sizes of handguns going on too. So
Yeah, and that's one thing that Sig made they made a lot of variants on the sizes, before they even went into the sub size or the compacts. They made a 320 compact and a 320 carry, um, and both of them being smaller, obviously, than the full size. And then you've got like the competition size, the X5s. Um, the the X5 Legion is really popular amongst a lot of those guys. Um, yeah, Baldwin Carrier is saying the X carry is more like a G45, basically the same full size grip but a shorter slide.
and then so the like I carry a Smith and Wesson Shield, so that would be like a subcompact, and then you got what I call a pocket gun, which would probably be considered by most a micro, and that would be like your little Kel-Tex, your little uh, LCP, Ruger 380s, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and with Sig they came out with the 365 and 380, where it's virtually the same size as the 9 millimeter, but just in 380. Now the XL in the 365 is just a little bit bigger, slide wise and grip wise. But the way they set up those mags is absolutely phenomenal. Where in the 365 XL standard, I can get a 12 round mag, and with the factory extension, it's a 15 round mag. And now they just came out with another X model of the 365 that comes from the factory with a 17 round mag in virtually a subcompact. So it's like having 17 rounds in your shield.
Shazba. Yeah.
Positively worth looking at type of thing, right?
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah, my shield, let's put it this way. Mine's in 40 Smith and Wesson, so I've got to carry two magazines just to have 13 rounds, right? I mean, seriously. I think it's time to trade, move up, and there's so many options out there now, man. I mean, not just what you're talking about from Sig Sauer. You got the Smith and Wesson M&Ps, and like Pistol Pete's talking about. Uh, no, Pistol Pete, liking plastic guns makes you the opposite of a FUD. I would like to sit here and tell you that revolvers are so much easier to understand, but they're really not, because you got the different frame sizes, the different barrel lengths, and all this kind of stuff. So it's just as bad. So no, you're no FUD, buddy. Uh, Good night, Insight. But yeah, man, it's time for me to move up from the shield. I think. I mean, the thing for such a small gun, I mean, it's reliable. It goes bang every time. Uh, but the magazine capacity is a limit because I've got a 6 round and a 7 round, and I have multiples of each, so I can carry the two 7 round magazines. So I could technically have 15 rounds at my disposal, but that's going to require a magazine change. So yeah,
yeah, that was one of the things. So weekend before last, Saturday after work, a couple of guys that work for me and I went out to the range, and not only did I turn one of the guys onto the first time ever shooting a red dot, but he carries a Smith and Wesson uh, shield, and after holding them side by side, that shield was just a little bit shorter than my 365 XL. And he's like, they're both 9 millimeters. And he's like, "You're kidding me. There's 12 rounds in that flush mount mag." I'm like, "No, no, not at all." And if you put the other mag in there, it just enables you to put uh, a bigger extension on things, or you can actually get your pinky on it. Um, and so I've been really happy to end up carrying my 365 XL. So that's a XL, but you can you can tell the size of this thing. I mean, the light itself is even bigger than it. Um, but I always carry it in the 12 round mag just because it conceals better with the grip. But even my giant ape hands, I've pretty much got almost a full grip on that thing. So to me, there's no reason not to. Um, what Sig is doing with the new one, man, I dig it. Am I going to convert this one into a 17 round magger? Probably not. Um, am I going to end up picking one of those up? Well, maybe. Um,
So
because
uh,
why not?
what's the difference between A SIG 365 and a SIG 365 XL. Magazine capacity, is that it?
Um,
Is it a little bit bigger frame?
it's just a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit bigger of a grip module and a little bit longer of a slide.
Okay.
The regular 365 is still take still take the same mags, but yeah, it's a just a little bit, just a touch bigger. The slide is what's more noticeable than anything else to me. Um, yeah, the slide itself is longer, and you know that part is what's mostly concealed anyway. Usually, what's gonna print, what's gonna show more, is gonna be the grip.
Absolutely. Unless you're carrying a revolver and then that big old cylinder is going to be. And with a revolver, you know what you got. You got 5 or 6 rounds, maybe 7, depending on. I've even seen some 8 round revolvers.
Yeah, and they're already coming out with other grip modules for this macro, uh, for this X macro, I believe is what they're calling it. But they're already coming out with them. So yeah, I might be ended up more tempted in the long run, um, because if I can carry an extra 2 rounds, why not? Why wouldn't I? For basically the same footprint, the 17 round mags in a subcompact. That's fire right there.
Uh, yeah, it brings up some thoughts and questions in my mind. Like, how long is that gun going to hold up to that kind of repetitive shooting? Then I got another story for you. So, who all we got in the side chat, Alan?
Oh man, right now we got Scott 79, Gary Gizzard, good to see you, sir. Bald and Curious, Broke Loader 2, good to see you. Edward Petty, Ozzy Osbourne, Stalker Steve was out there, Pistol Pete was out there. Um, Inside Freedom is eating dinner. Thank you, thank you. Kingpin, South Dakota Mountain Man, MCK is out there. Oof was out there. Yep. Good to see everybody tonight. Just a domestic as it goes. So that I guess is a good way of putting it. Macro is bigger between the 365 and a 320 size. Huh.
Just kind of splitting the difference. So, are
Walter,
all of these things
uh, his daughter just picked up a sig for Carrie in the 38.
380? Pretty cool,
Old
man.
one guy, get to see you tonight. Yeah, and the 365s also still have the the integrated uh, trigger modules too. So that's
See,
their availability.
that was
Now
my question.
you being more of the old school style shooter things. You ever shot with red dots on pistols?
Heck no, man. I just, within the last few months, put a red dot on an AR, man. Get real, dude. No, to me, a red dot is a red fiber optic front sight on my revolver. That's uptown, man.
That's stepping in high cotton right there,
You
boy. I tell you.
doggone right, man. But
Well,
yeah,
I
I'm
don't know. I don't
fascinated.
know who came up with the three dot sight thing, but to me, um, I got away from red dots when I first started shooting them because I had myself so trained to like a three dot system that it was weird. Um, it was just really odd to try and actually keep my focus on the threat and just superimpose a dot onto the target. It was peculiar. The one, the only New York Outcast.
What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
Um, Pretty good, except for I'm trying to figure out why there was a naked guy in the Pelosi's house with a hammer.
Yeah, some things are better off probably not known.
You
Yeah,
ain't,
you can't ever get a sight out of your mind. Once you get something locked in there, you're stuck with it. So
yeah, some things you can't unsee, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just
naked.
gonna ask, what was this about that beggars night? That's what they call it in your area.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
and I
never
had
heard of that
never
either.
actually heard of it till I moved out here.
Yeah, where exactly are you? I mean, not exactly, but rough shot.
Middle of Iowa.
Okay. All right, yeah, I've never heard of it in New York, so I don't, that's a new one to me. So I've heard of people going trick or treating early, due to like school the next day or something. People advise to try to do it the night before or something, but I never heard it referred as beggars night. So it's just interesting. So sorry, I don't want to throw you off track. I was just trying to clarify there. Seems weird.
No, it totally threw me off when I moved out here. I'm like, you're gonna take your kids trick or treating the night before Halloween? Oh yeah, it's beggars night. What are you talking about? That's when everybody takes their kids out. What?
Mm.
That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, I think about a week and a half, sometime last week. I'm not sure exactly when. I was on my way to work and I noticed a bunch of people were doing like a trunk or treat in a parking lot at a park. Yeah, middle of the afternoon. All the kids are dressed in costumes. The sheriff's out there, and everybody's handing candy out. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, is it Halloween already? Like, yeah, we still got over a week. I was shocked. So, guess people got all types of things going on. I guess.
Oh yeah, totally. In the little town that I live in, I live right on the town square, and so for like the week before Halloween, like every single night, there's some type of event happening down there. Um, the night before last was Witches and Brew. So all the women dress up as witches and they go bar hopping. it's
Hey, so
it's
you were at the bar last night?
it's not a good night to be walking around town as a single man. I'll tell you that. Oof.
What's the problem, man? You afraid some hot chick going to drag you away? Hmm.
No, like a group of drunk witches, maybe. I
Oh,
just
yeah, that's kind of scary. Can I
they
do
travel in
something?
packs.
Yeah, can I do something right here, right quick? Um, I got a box from one of my friends. He's in the side chat. Um, Kind of ties in with the subject matter. I've been talking about getting into the competition shooting thing. I think I'm being pushed.
Oh, nice.
That's the good one, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
Do you have one?
I don't. I don't. I'll practice drills with a timer, but I use my cell phone to do it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I haven't picked one of those up yet.
Rich White says Alan's afraid of a reverse Jack the Ripper.
Damn Skippy. Damn Skippy. I don't know if that 10 millimeter would be enough.
So I'm excited. I got a friend who does have one of these, Alan, and I'm Al and Alan, both of you. And I'm sure he'll be able to help me get started with this. He's taken me out to his property, to his practice range. He's a competition shooter, and he's shown me a few things as far as how they set up stages and that kind of thing. And he has one of these, and I'm sure he'll be able to help me figure out what I need to do with this. But you know, I think I told y'all that my CZ75 BD was stolen, and that was what I was planning on using. Well, I got a call from the police, and they have recovered my 75 BD. So all I have to do is wait on the trial date, and so I'm gonna get my gun back eventually. I'm excited
Right,
about
you're getting it back. That's a plus.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what?
Unfortunately, it might have a scratch or two, but at least you're getting it back. A lot of times, when something's stolen, you never hear from it again. So I'm
Oh,
still waiting on a call from years back when my house was robbed. They never found a thing.
yeah. I hope I get. I can do what I need to do as far as getting it back into shape. Walter, someone who um, knows us and the house very well, slipped in the house, knew the gun was on my nightstand, and took it. And it was in a Safariland holster, um, and had three magazines and a twin magazine holder. Uh, Goes on your belt. So I would love to get all of that stuff back. That was the rig I was planning on using for getting into the competition stuff. But I can use my Springfield XD, but it's in 40, so that that kind of puts me into the major thing pretty quick. There's Daniel. Good.
Good evening, Dan.
Hey Rob, what you
Well, that's
doing?
absolutely phenomenal news, Jamie, that you're going to get that back. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take forever and a day, and it goes through swiftly for you, and everything is in good shape.
I hope I get all of it back, like the all three mags, the holster, and the mag holders. It always is, Steve.
You might be able to call the department and ask what they actually have, your property for the case in a sense. I don't know if they'll give you the information, but they might. They might say, oh yeah, we have, that firearm, three mags, a holster. It was all found at the same time. I don't know what information they can give out depending on where they're at and things, but you might get an idea. I mean, the worst they're going to say is they can't tell you, I guess.
Yeah.
Daniel, how the heck is things going?
Well, hopefully all the hard work here for this fall's done. So I'm just getting ready for winter, and I got my eye on the spring. How about you?
I am so not looking forward to all that white crap on the ground and slipping and sliding everywhere, and I'm just not looking forward to it in the
Well,
slightest.
I don't mind those little white crystals that are on the ground. It's that cold temperature that gets me.
Yeah, that snow's all right. It'd be okay if it snowed and it was still like 65, 70 or something. But yeah, the temperature sucks. Everything loves to break in the winter. Seems like always something, whether it's your battery dies or the hot water heater goes. Like every winter, something dies is what it seems like. So, and it's the worst time to have to work on something. At least in my experience, I don't know. It's almost like the winter curse.
Furnace goes out on Thanksgiving Day. Been there,
Yeah,
done that.
well pump. That's actually happened at my mom's. Everybody showed up and the well pump went out. People from all over different states away and stuff, and can't even use the toilet. And it wasn't pretty. We ended up getting it fixed, thankfully. We had to put it in ourselves, but we were lucky even to find a pump that day. So, but it can't happen. That's the curse, man. Or the faucet just explodes on the sink. That happened to us one year. Faucet just, you want to turn it on or off, and the knob blew off or whatever. Water shooting everywhere. Like it's always something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, busted pipes, and I mean auto issues, man. I'm glad that I'm in a new vehicle this year, but I know I'm still going to end up dealing with stuff. So I still have I, my jump box is going to get charged and thrown in there, and it, all that other junk that only goes in the vehicle during winter.
It's smart to have a little emergency kit in the vehicle, especially if you live, somewhere with winters, bad winters. Yeah, you never know. So sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's an accident and you're just sitting there for 2 hours, depending where you're at, just to get through. So that sucks if you're on eighth of a tank or something, in some cases. So, and everybody's going for the exit, so you never know. Some extra supplies is always a good idea. There was a case here where people were stuck in a snowbank for a couple days, like right in the middle of everybody. Just nobody realized there was somebody stuck in the car. There was cars everywhere. They were stuck in the car for a couple days before they actually could get out. So that would suck. People driving by you all day, almost hitting you, and you're still sitting in your car, can't open the door.
Yeah, out here sometimes you could be in the middle of nowhere when you drove 20 minutes out of town. And so, yeah, in my get home bag is another fresh change of clothes. I throw an extra burly jacket in the vehicle that just lives in the vehicle all season. I've even gone to the extent of putting in a couple MREs and you know little things that worst case scenario, is it going to be able to get me through?
And even
Because
like some hand
I'm
warmers
getting
are
out of
nice.
the field and know, be 20, 30 miles from the closest city.
Yeah, even like keeping some hand warmers with extra tools or something in the vehicle. So if you got to change a tire in the snow and slush, it's kind of nice to have on hand. Or something you can throw on the ground, whether it's a piece of plastic or whatever. So I don't know if you've ever worked on your vehicle in slush, but I can tell you it sucks. So if you can do it and stay dry, it's better.
Yeah,
That's what
it
that's what that tarp is for in the bag, right?
Yeah, multi-purpose.
yeah, I preach and preach about keeping enough fuel in your vehicle during winter, um, and have run across people that they slid off the road and they're sitting in the ditch, and I'm like, well, will it run? Yeah, it'll run, but we ran out of gas. I'm like, uh, that could be the matter of life and death. If nobody found you out here for 8, 10, 12 hours, you don't know. It's negative 30 degrees, lady.
That's true. And I always say dress for the occasion. So yeah, I always think it's hilarious when you see these I don't know, I refer to them as kids or whatever, but people running around in shorts and shit in the middle of the winter. Like if you got stuck outside for 20 minutes, you're gonna be like really regretting this, wind chill, all this stuff. They'll have exposure warnings on the TV and everything, and they're running around in gym shorts. I'm like, wow. Like, yeah, you just slide off the road or something and your window busts and you got to sit there for help. You're going to be wishing you had some clothes. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't, even if you're going to the gym or whatever, change. I don't understand that. Like, you never know what might happen. You pray for the best, but it's going to suck if you're out there in your little booty pants on the side of the highway in the snow and slush.
2 years ago, dead of winter. It was cold. One of those when you can shoot a jug of boiling water and it turns to snow immediately cold days. And there was this, we look over there and there's this little minivan sitting there, flat tire, and a girl out there who's in pajamas. And wife says, "What an idiot." And it's like, look there, and it's like, oh, there's a car seat in there. So, yeah, sicker than a dog. I was sick, and we just went over there, changed her tire, and just like go home. Otherwise, if I didn't see the car seat, I would go with that Darwinian thing and help. It's like, well, it's cleaning up the gene pool if they freeze.
Oh, Daniel.
Jamie.
Sometimes you have a mean streak, my brother.
Hey, I changed their tire and I was sicker than a dog anyway, so I was a hero.
Well, some people gotta learn the hard way. It doesn't matter how much you tell them. I'm sure you probably have friends, maybe kids that way. They just have to learn the hard way. So, that's tough love in a sense, or doing somebody a favor.
There's that.
But when you get a kid involved, then that's that's a little different.
Yeah, kid was under a year old too.
Yeah, especially, I can't speak for that situation, but a lot of times I'll see parents, with a coat on and kids are just running around with a sweatshirt. It's like, yeah, it just seems weird to me. I don't know. So the schools complain about it locally too, because, kids will show up in the middle of the winter with no coats. Sometimes the schools will donate coats to them, and then the parents will sell the coats. The coats disappear. They take the coats. So they show back up with no coats again. Like, it's messed up, man. It really is.
Well, Jamie, did I miss that part of the chat where you said what you're up to?
I'm playing with this. I'm trying to figure out how, and I didn't know it had a display on it. Big Al sent me this. Thanks, Big Al.
That's the one I got. They work.
Good. The new model or the old model? Because I know they came out with a newer model, which I thought was a little rounder towards the top, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. This is the first thing like this I've ever owned, and it says
should work. I think the new model might link to your phone or something. I'm not sure. I was looking into them not long ago, but
It says Pro Pocket 2. So maybe it's the newer model. I don't know. All I know is Big Al graciously sent it to me because apparently he wants to see some videos of me making a fool of myself in a competition.
Well, they do some really, really cool stuff. I know that if you're not like trying to set yourself up as a competition shooter, they're great for self defensive tactics. Daniel, that's pretty much why you even use yours, right?
Yeah, just working through drills and getting proficient.
Through any
So,
time.
I mean,
Yeah, can't wait to learn what I'm doing.
just don't make it complicated, Jamie. Keep it simple.
Always.
Get it on about a variable 1 to 3 second delay, and whether you shoot one or three, it'll stop at the last shot.
So Mock's headed to work, man. Be careful out there, dude. Don't work too hard.
So just don't take that with you when you're deer hunting, Jamie.
Yeah, it'd be kind of embarrassing. Wouldn't it?
See that deer hit the button, beep. Thank God he got away again.
And don't shoot your microwave either.
Why not?
Yeah. Family might not appreciate it.
Oh, you mean the one in the kitchen, not the one
Yeah.
that's been out in the barn or something? Yeah.
Somebody else heat something up, you hear the beep and just react. Yeah.
Okay, now I get you.
Yeah, that's when you got yourself trained.
Start screaming, "Where's the target? Where's the target?" The wife jumps back. So, oh my goodness.
Mother-in-law jumps behind the couch.
Day off.
I'm going to see if I can find a manual on this and start playing with it. Ball and Curious says you can set up a par time for dry fire. That's what I'm going to be doing a lot of before I actually go out. I think my goal is going to be to get out there by spring. Um, I've got some gun stories. Do y'all want to hear them?
Absolutely.
Daniel's interested. uh, okay. Story number one. Y'all remember me showing you the Ruger number one that was left in the back of the car for so long? Remember how rusty it was? You don't remember that?
I do.
Alan does. And you remember I told you I was going to send it back to Ruger to have it refinished?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I talked to Ruger, and they're like, "Yeah, send it on in." They said, "I said, do I need to send you a check?" No, because we don't know how much we're going to charge you yet. And so, I take it to my FFL. They told me to send it in. I take it to my FFL. They get in contact with Ruger about sending it in, wanting them to send them the label and all this kind of stuff. Well, when they contacted Ruger, Ruger told them that they're not accepting that kind of work right now. And I have a feeling it's because they're a gun shop. I think if I had continued my conversation with the lady and had her send me a label, I could have boxed the gun up, took it to FedEx, and shipped it straight myself. No questions asked and nothing. So at this point, I'm debating on whether I need to contact Ruger myself again and try to do it and not use my FFL, or find a gunsmith and get a price of doing it locally.
I'd try Ruger again, probably. See if you can go direct because they might do more for you as an individual than a shop. I don't know.
They need to, man, because I'd hate to sit here and have to start counting the number of Ruger firearms I've got around here.
Yeah, I've never dealt with them on any kind of policy or anything, so I can't say. But you would think they would at least take a look at it and tell you like we can do this for this or we'll take care of that or whatever. They should at least give you an estimate if they're going to charge you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was if it's coming from an FFL, maybe they thought, hey, this guy tried to work on this piece and couldn't make it work right, and so now he needs to send it to us. Um, I would probably try it personal myself again.
They
Yeah.
they could think the shop bought it off somebody really cheap and they're just trying to get it fixed to resell it too, and that's maybe
Or
that they won't want to do it. And they might with you versus them.
my thought was if they take that gun from a shop, then that shop's going to just keep sending tons of work to them, and they don't want to be doing it like that. Whereas uh,
Yeah.
that's a
I've
good idea.
always yeah. I've always dealt with the manufacturers myself, whether CZ USA or LMT, and talked to them and just told them, just they gave them the straight out skinny on what it is and what happens. Send them some photos, and they've always been good. And neither of them charged me a dime for the work. And I took it to FedEx, sent it in, and when they sent it back, it got delivered right to my front doorstep.
Well, in his case, if it was left in a trunk and he was honest and it's been there sliding around for Lord knows how much, and obviously the finish is probably affected, and they may just see that as kind of neglect on the user. You know what I mean? So would they want to cover that? Or they may cover all the function of the gun, but if it's looks like crap, they might want to charge you to resurface or something. Just throwing an idea. That's why I figured they'd probably tell you something if you could send it in direct. But
Well,
I understand if you abuse the product. You know what I mean? If you left it in a bucket of water, just left it there and it rusted to pieces, and 5 years later you pull it out and send it in, you can't expect them to replace it. I wouldn't.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
expect, I don't expect nothing that I ain't willing to pay for.
yeah, yeah.
The gun says proudly on the top of the barrel, "Made in the 200th year of American freedom." I truly expect to be held responsible for having it refinished, and that's what it is. The only part of the gun that doesn't work is the safety, and I can get them to fix that, or I can fix that. No big deal. But the problem with the gun is the excessive rust and pitting in the finish, and that's the reason I had rather send it to Ruger to be redone than have a private gunsmith do it, which I'm sure they can do a great job. But man, when it comes to blued and wood firearms, I mean Smith and Wesson and Ruger and those companies, man, it just don't get no better.
Yeah.
And
So you're wanting to get the paperwork right from the manufacturer on what they did. That way, if you ever, it holds value better that way.
right, and these guns, it's a Ruger number one, brand new. These things are selling for 1,500 to $2,000, depending on what you're buying. But I mean, it's a single shot rifle. But this one is made in 1976. It's 300 Win Mag. It belonged to a friend of mine who's no longer with us, and before it was his, it was his granddad's. So I need to get this gun fixed.
yeah, and if there's so much abuse, and they're like, we can only do so much, then that's what they're going to tell you. Um, like Magpul has a pretty good warranty, but asked Magpul, hey, you think you can warranty that magazine for us? Um, because yeah, it was malfunctioning, so we decided to take it out of service. And they said that it was a little too organically air conditioned to be warranted. So some things are just not savable, but that doesn't sound like it's that bad.
It's
You don't
bad.
want to hear that.
It's bad to the point of it's rusted and pitted to the point of almost looking like it's got flakes on it. So they're gonna have to take some material off. But I think it's a 300 Win Mag. It's a very heavy barrel. I don't think it's going to hurt the gun to lose that much material and be refinished. I think it'd be beautiful once I got it back from them. Then comes the question: how much 300 Win Mag do I want to be shooting? I know it'd be great to take out for elk or bear. Like if I ever went on a trip out west, it'd be the gun I'd take. No, I wouldn't. I'd take my 270 because after all, it's the greatest cartridge ever conceived by man.
So, have you taken that 270 out or that 35 Remington out this year yet?
I have not been deer hunting yet, Daniel. I know. I know. Um, we were planning on going opening weekend, and we lost a friend the night before. Uh, he was at the football game, high school football game, and walking up the steps and had a coronary and had a massive heart attack and died. So that took out the opening weekend. Then this weekend, I was just too tired and it was too warm. I mean, it didn't get below 55 degrees at night. So I decided I'm sleeping in. But this coming Saturday should be a good day. It's the first day that we can kill does, so I anticipate going Saturday and bringing some meat home.
Use one of these. Let's get the bow out there and a crossbow. But you're down south where you can shoot guns when the weather's nice.
I
If we
think
want to
I'm
hunt deer,
gonna, I think I'm gonna be using the 350 Legend.
okay.
I think it's time. There's bearded CB82 outdoors.
I'm done hunting this year. I went out deer hunting twice, and that's it. I'm done.
You done killed 2 deer?
Well, I can legally shoot 6 deer here, but only one buck. So, got the meat. I'm done.
There you go.
Let the wife hunt. Let her go out there. I'll just cater. I'll just play guide. When Scotsman comes down here, I'll just play guide and I'll sit there on the porch and I'll watch the deer in my front yard while they're sitting in the woods somewhere.
That's so cruel.
It's funny.
Okay, so are you ready for gun story number 2, which is much shorter? A few months ago, I picked up. This is totally out of character for me. I impulse bought a TriStar Cobra pump 20 gauge shotgun at my FFL. It was used in the used section. Paid $200 for it. Haven't shot it till yesterday when I took it to the turkey and ham shoot. Guess what? It did not go bang.
Man,
It does not shoot.
that's
So
you pull it all apart.
I did. The fire control group is just mush. I mean, it's just the bolts not lining up. I mean, you can put a shell in the chamber, fire the shotgun. There's no impression of a light fire strike, a light hammer strike. I mean, it's nothing. It's not even hitting the hammer. The hammer is not hitting the firing pin. The firing pin is not hitting the primer.
Wow.
So what do you do with that? You bought a used gun. Do you try to fix it yourself? Do you take it to a gunsmith? Do you take it back to who you bought it from and throw it at them?
How old is the gun?
I have no clue.
I mean, less than a year, 5 years.
I have no clue. I've owned it for at most 6 months.
I'd call the manufacturer and see what they got to say. They might tell you to ship it in. Take it to your FedEx. Don't take it to your FFL.
That's the guy I bought it from. I want to take it back to him.
You bought it from your FFL,
Yeah.
and what's their policy at the store? I mean, is it publicly stated everything's as is, sales are final, blah blah blah? You know what I mean? Is it one of those type places, or are they, more decent about things?
Usually a lot more decent than that about things, but
Yeah, so say maybe approach them, tell them about the problem, and if you're lucky, they might offer to take it back for what you bought it for, and they'll address the problem just to keep you, a decent customer, like you would like to think they would. And especially if you're in like a small town area, because word gets around. So I don't know. I wouldn't threaten or anything, but run the story basically what you're saying by them, and they might offer to do something, or maybe even take a look at it for you, and something.
Yeah, I'd talk to them. If they buy it back from you, throw in a $10 part, and next time you go there, you might be able to buy it for $500.
I tell you what I would like. I would like to take it back and then give me a $200 store credit, and I could buy something a little nicer.
No, 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 no. Go in there like a raving lunatic and
No.
slap it down on the counter and say, "This thing's a hunk of fucking junk. I want that Bernelli back there instead."
Oh man, very available.
Bald's got the right answer. Make a YouTube video. If they don't do what you want, then post the video. Now they sponsor our wild game thing at my church. There's no way I'm gonna go in there and act like a butt and make a nasty YouTube.
Well, there you go. Just tell him if you don't make it right, you're going to tell the pastor on him. Punk
No,
him out, Jamie. Punk him
I
out.
would just take it back into the guy and say, yeah, I picked this up from you for a couple $100, but it don't shoot. I might have had it for X amount of time. I don't know how long you had it.
I'm gonna play.
But you finally took it out and tried to put a couple of shells through it, and it's a no-go. The thing won't even ignite a primer or even give me a light primer strike.
Not just that, guys. It was at a turkey shoot. I'm standing there with 15 or 16 guys watching me not shoot.
All right, I'm your FFL here. So, what you're saying is you want a gun that shoots. Well, then that's going to cost you at least $500.
In defense, I mean, might have been wise to test the gun. Yeah, I know that doesn't help now, but yeah, whenever you buy something new like that, it's always good to take it out, even if it's spanking brand new, because you never know. So I'd hate to show up when I need it and not already have some confidence with it. So uh, I know it doesn't help now, but
Yeah. Like Alan, you're kind of in that seat right now. You got something that you need to practice with and make sure you got everything before you carry it, like a holster.
Yeah, yeah, and that's part of my only complaints with it. I
Let's have
can't
a
I
leather
can't
one made.
find the right holster, and I can't find backup mags. But the backup mags might be because SIG is having to redesign the mags. I don't know.
So you bought a brand new SIG that hasn't been beta tested on all the customers yet.
Yeah, in very, very odd form. Normally, I don't go buy one of the newest whiz bang things, and it had been you know a month and a half or so after they came out before I went and bought one because I don't I prefer to buy in person, and at I didn't even have an FFL at the moment because the two FFLs that I was dealing with locally got bullshit happen with them and the ATF. Um, so I lost my local FFLs that I was dealing with. But anyway, I prefer to buy in person anyway. Um, and just wasn't finding one in the wild. And then as soon as I found one in the wild, 2.5 hours later, I was in the store. Um, but yeah, it is one of those things. Um, yeah, Bald. They're not positively not $100 a piece. They're here unattainium at the moment. You can't find them anywhere. Um, but I am absolutely loving that pistol. Just am. Yeah, earlier I was talking about how I had gone out last weekend with a couple of my employees, and one of my employees had never shot a red dot on a pistol before, and has absolutely fallen in love with it to the extent that he's now looking at possibly um, picking up something else that's optic ready. Um,
you're a sight pusher, huh?
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I just asked him before I handed him one. I'm like, have you ever shot anything with a red dot? He's like, no. And I'm like, okay, the hardest part right now for you is going to be keeping both eyes open. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, keep both eyes open, look at your target, and just bring the dot up to your target. And just keep your focus on your target. And the guy was like, he was painting the target at 15 yards, just nailing it. And immediately converted him to red dots on pistols, like immediately.
I thought you were always supposed to keep both eyes open shooting pistols.
So
Yeah, that's the newer school way of doing it. Um, for the longest time, old school, you always look down one eye. Um, like you're looking through a dang scope, and I don't really understand why, but that's the way that I was taught as a kid.
But I know there's two different practices in a sense, or probably pubic or whatever, but there is technically a benefit in some cases to some people with stigmatisms, I believe they call it. There's three different types, and depending on your type, it could be beneficial to both eyes open or one eye closed. So uh, if you're having issues, there's stuff you can look up on that as well, like to help with accuracy. So a lot of times people have a slight stigmatism, don't even realize it, and if you check into it, it'll give you tips that'll basically make you feel like you're cheating, because it works quite well. So I don't know all the details on it, but despite what practice is for you personally, depending on your eyes, there may be a difference where you're actually better one way or the other.
So maybe that's what I'm doing wrong, huh? I cannot shoot without closing my left eye. I just cannot do it.
Might be something
Well,
too. I know you can search online and get information on it with shooting and stigmatisms like that. Because I know everybody refers to, seeing blurs with red dots and things like this, but even with iron sights, it's just how your eyes work for you. Which again, most you might not even realize you are slightly one way or the other or whatever. So because obviously you can do all normal stuff just fine, but anything like that, though, sighting or whatever, there is a possibility, your practice might be hurting it with your eyes. So it's just something to look into.
I definitely have stigmatism.
yeah, and I positively have astigmatism as well. And so with red dots, um, they flare out a little bit. I'll get almost a star rather than a dot. Um, so I can kind of work a little bit on fixing that in the aspect of, as long as I keep my focus positively on my target, the dot itself becomes more of a dot rather than, if I try and look at the dot, it flares out and turns into a star. Um, so I can tell if I'm looking at the wrong place or not. But with shooting with both eyes open, I didn't actually start shooting with both eyes open until like 10 years ago. 10 years ago was the first time somebody was like, hey, you need to start to learn how to shoot with both eyes open. I'm like, it goes against everything I've trained my brain to do. I've always I figured out when I was real young that I was right eye dominant, and so I've always closed my left eye. And it took it took a little bit to get used to keeping both eyes open for the longest time. And then once I got used to like a three dot setup with both eyes open, when I started going more towards optics, it was a little bit easier, but my brain was still used to looking at the this kind of setup rather than a single point. And so that took my brain a little bit to start equating to. But humans are we've been dispatching bad people forever. And when we do this, we look at our threat. We have a one focal point. So if you're focusing on that front sight, your rear sight and the target are fuzzy, right? It doesn't make much sense when you can focus on your threat and superimpose a dot.
Getting deep in here.
Ultimately, in a self-defense situation, am I going to really be using the dot? Probably not. It's going to be point shooting. I if I have to use it, it's likely going to be point shooting. I'm not trying to make 40-yard shots if I don't have to.
Why not?
Yeah, figure that's parking lot, a few cars away or something, possibly. Hey, the likelihood's probably not, very likely, but it would be nice to be confident in that ability. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I still do those practice shots, but not like Daniel where you were doing the that mall shooting practice shots and stuff. That's
Oh, all the Dickens stuff, drill stuff, where Bald and I was getting into it, and everybody, the viewers, the people, our community, took the vote on who won. We were just having a chat about that.
That's the one where Balls freaked out and, you know, almost started crying and stuff on live or something.
I was just having fun. It wasn't. It was fun. It helped me improve my long distance shooting. Getting out there gave me an excuse to get out there, get off my butt, go out and shoot.
apparently something that I said was getting a little under Thorzak's skin there. He must not totally agree with me.
He doesn't. I can tell you right off, he doesn't.
I know he doesn't beat around the bush at all.
That's what you gotta love about Dave. Um, it's about front sight. He preaches front sight,
Mm-hmm.
and Big Al's correct. You got one point in focus. Rear sight, front sight, target. No more than one, even if you got perfect eyesight.
Yeah, front sight and target. There you go.
Well,
You
and
ain't got
that's
time for all that other stuff.
I'm not going to disagree with front sight. It that's if I go to try to show anybody how to use irons, that's what I teach. Front sight is what I show. If I'm shooting without a dot, front sight is my front sight is my focus. Um, but I
And
honestly wasn't shown. I honestly wasn't shown that until about the same time that I started shooting with both eyes open.
and Walter Davis has a good point. A 40-yard shot can be construed as homicide if you
Well,
shoot.
if you, Jamie, if you're sitting in the back corner, one side of the church, and someone comes into the side door and goes after that pastor, you're going to want to be able to shoot across the church without hitting nobody else and stop that threat to the pastor.
Do you know my pastor?
Well, I'm sitting in the back corner of my church. We're
Yeah,
we're we're, we're dispersed all over.
lots of situations where, obviously a 40-yard shot, in my opinion, would be justified. But yeah, if it was a bad shoot, we'd hope you wouldn't be involved in it anyway. Yeah.
We at
Some
my church we have policemen. Like Big Al says, depends on the pastor. We have policemen at my church. Somebody comes in shooting at my church. My job is to secure my family and get them out of harm's way, and that's what I'll do. Um, I trust the pastor knows where he will spend eternity if worse comes to worse, and I will trust the policeman to defend his life while I defend that of myself and my families.
So after they shoot the pastor and they start pointing the gun at little kids,
Then I'll kill him.
yeah, if they're pointing the gun at me, so what? But if they
Right.
start, one of those kids or somebody's wife, no, ain't gonna happen.
Well, that depends upon if the pastor shoots him fast enough. Anyway, this pastor might actually draw and get one on target before he actually lights one off.
Our previous pastor carried a desert baby eagle right behind the pulpit.
With body armor lining the inside of the pulpit.
He's one of those old Vietnam Marines.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where else you got cover in the front like that? That's pretty smart.
Yeah, anybody that comes into our church would have to either break in a side door or come past two armed policemen in the lobby to get into the worship center.
Must be a real big church to be able to pay two policemen.
Actually, they're church members and volunteer. But yeah, we have between 300 and 700 people there on a particular Sunday. Uh,
Yeah.
used
We're
to, huh?
just one of these small ones. You got about 60 to 80 people there. Total membership about 200 to 300. You're right.
You know, if everybody that was on the rolls ever showed up on a particular Sunday, you'd have trouble seating them.
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah. Good point, Ball.
Our philosophy at ours is if you present yourself and that you are not going to be an easy target, you avoided the chances of it ever happening.
Pretty much. Stalker Steve's back. What's up, man? Been watching a few of his videos lately.
I gotta run, guys, but I'll catch up with you guys later. You have a good weekend, or week, I guess, coming up here. So, thanks for the
Well,
invite.
much obliged you were able to join us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for sending it. So yeah, everybody stay safe out there.
Glad we got to spend some time with you, New York.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. All right, have a good evening, guys.
You too, man. Thanks.
Oh, there's primers
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, there was a bit in my area. Did see a bunch of CCI number 41s. Still, surprisingly, did actually see some CCI small pistol, but it came home with me. Yeah, they're just barely starting to trickle back into my area.
You guys that can't find them can go to AmericanReloading.com and you can buy that one particular brand. I don't have any on me. I'm gonna put up in the drawer, but they are obtainable. I think they're like $90 a thousand, including shipping and hazmat fees.
Are those the Gen X primers?
Yes.
Yeah, those were pretty good. I just loaded a bunch of 380s with those. Hey guys, how you doing? I thought I'd bump in here in the last part of it.
How's it going, Hot Pot?
Good. I was at a friend of mine's house for dinner, and then we got the musical instruments out. I played some drums and had some bass and guitar and vocals going on. It was a lot of fun.
Good
What'd you
times,
play,
good
man?
times.
I miss playing in a band.
Did you play anything we would know?
Hotel California.
Yeah.
A little bit of AC/DC. I mean, we just play around.
No country, no western.
No,
Yeah.
no western, no country yet. We tinker around a little bit with some of it, but no songs in particular.
It likely ends up sounding more like polka, or
Well, you know, polka music is the backbeat of punk rock music.
I did not know
Yep.
that.
Yes, sir. And rockabilly music, Glenn Campbell, or no, Buck Owens. Buck Owens is considered the godfather of rockabilly.
What? Wasn't Jerry Lee Lewis?
No, Jerry Lee Lewis was just a great ball of fire, baby.
He passed this week.
Yes, I seen that. That was sad to see him go. Great having him around, though. And you know, it's like, you know, being Jerry Lee Lewis or you, Jamie, you know, with this source of media we have here, we'll live for a long, long time after we're gone.
Makes me want to go delete my channel, Hot Pot.
No, I like putting things up because, you know, when I'm gone, if these videos are still around on some media, you know, I'm still going to be annoying someone somewhere.
Guys, I got to tell y'all, Glenn Campbell was so underrated. That man was a musical genius. I ain't kidding you. I put him right up there with folks like, well, name a few.
Boxcar Willie.
Jimmy Page, Elton John, uh, John
Olivia Newton-John.
No, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Olivia Newton-John. Roy Clark. Thank you, Dave.
Roy Clark was a master guitarist. Never, from what I understood, he never took a lesson in his life. He could not read music. And have you ever listened to his Spanish ensembles?
Mm-mm.
Look up Roy Clark playing the Spanish guitar ensembles. Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at the records that Glenn Campbell played on, as Stalker Steve says. He was a session musician a long time before he ever made a name for himself. But there's Wichita Lineman, By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Those songs right there, man, you can listen to them anytime. But when you do it, make sure you got some good headphones and you're alone so that you can listen to the nuances of what's going on. Because most of his recordings were recorded with a full orchestra. And to really get the true. I mean, I was a kid. I listened to Glenn Campbell. I heard those songs when I was a kid on an AM radio with a speaker that big, driving down the road in a truck with the windows down, making more noise than the radio. You understand what I'm talking about? Hi-fi is a great thing, guys. Chad
Jamie,
was a
when you
master.
talked when you first said uh, musical genius and everything like that, I just popping in my head Johnny Cash, and I was stuck in my head every word you were saying Johnny Cash, and now it comes out Glenn Campbell.
Yeah, Glenn Campbell was
Really?
an excellent songwriter, singer, musician. He was well rounded in every aspect of his style of music.
A
Very well
guitar
rounded.
player extraordinaire. I mean, there is rarely a guitar player with the talent of Glenn Campbell. Chet Atkins is right there. Um, Johnny Cash was a genius in ways that we've not truly all discovered yet. I got an exercise for you. I want you to give me the time signature of Ring of Fire, one of Johnny Cash's biggest hits. Go listen to it, tap your toe, count out the measures, and come back and tell me what the time signature is. I dare you.
Oh, that and who wrote that song? Who
He
wrote
ar-
Ring of Fire, Alan? Who wrote Ring of Fire? Hot Pot, who wrote Ring of Fire?
I know.
I
It was
know.
not Johnny Cash.
It was close though. Let's just say the royalties stayed in his household, Hot Shot.
June Carter Cash.
She did.
That's what I
And she
thought.
wrote, yeah.
So yeah, I'm waiting on a time signature for Ring of Fire. Who would have thought to add mariachi trumpets to Ring of Fire, which which was totally different than the way his wife wrote it. But I don't think that she was married to him when she wrote it. Do you know
No,
that, Dan?
no, they weren't married at
The
that time.
the thing about Ring of Fire's time signature is some people would say that he changed the time signature a lot throughout the song, but he didn't. It was in a very, very, very obscure time signature. Um, it was something like 11/4. Just a really, really odd, peculiar time signature that it's so rarely used. Um, but that it can cross reference over into a number of different genres. And in all actuality, if you can put Ring of Fire behind an orchestra, um, because it's such an oddball time signature that you can use an entire orchestra and um, still make it sound complete and full, which is kind of like counter to today's heavy metal. Um, also can cross reference right over to classical and put it right in with a full and complete orchestra, and it would absolutely amaze you. Um, Yet one of the groups that I have to agree with, just have to agree with, um, is Rush. Yes, um, the best concert I've ever seen in my life was Rush. Uh, I don't know how many times during the show I'm like, "This is three guys? Are you three guys? That's it. That's all there. What? Oh, just phenomenal show."
Geddy Lee is one of the most underrated bass players in rock and roll. He does not get the props he deserves.
All three of those guys are awesome, particularly the drummer. To me, their drummer stands out.
Neil Peart.
I mean, he is.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, Bald and Curious. That's exactly what I'm saying. You take some of these large orchestras and put it together with today's heavy metal. It's it's uncanny. It is absolutely amazing.
Even Kiss did a what was that? Kiss Alive 4 was orchestra. It had an orchestra background on it. And then Metallica, S&M. Wow.
I can't see Pink Floyd doing it with an orchestra.
I certainly can. I certainly can. Pink Floyd has played numerous times with many orchestras.
Oh, now you're going to
Yeah,
tell me
Miz.
they made something called The Wall. Our roommate, she went when I was living in San Diego. She got to go see the Wall concert. I had to put up with that for how long? And she just said, "It was just great, awesome." Just freaking out about how good it was.
Yeah, I was with a lady one time who loved Neil Young and drug me around to all these Neil Young concerts. After so while, man, I ended up just finding a place to go to sleep. Sorry, but I can't stand that guy.
Kind of like Billy Joel.
I
Yeah.
like I like Billy Joel, but Neil Young ain't popular south of Kentucky. Sorry, fellas, all because of one song. So the Google Know It All says that Ring of Fire is time signature of 4/4. If that is so, it's only 4/4 at the beginning, and there's a lot of 3/4 measures in there. But I kind of agree with what Alan was saying. It's yeah, it's something weird. Just listen to it, count the measures, count the beats. You'll find out. You can't
Yeah,
keep up.
it is positively a ring. Now, Johnny Cash used to do that a lot, um, and that's one of the things that made his kind of sound very unique. Was he would tweak with time signatures, even Hurt, um, which wasn't written by Johnny Cash. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it
Trent
was like
Reznor.
this
Trent Reznor
iconic
wrote that.
song that he did. What was that, Gene?
Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails wrote and recorded the original to that song. Johnny Cash declared it one of the best songs ever written.
See, I always thought Johnny Cash would just go out and sing it his way and leave it to the band to make it sound right.
He sings it. If you have you ever heard the Nine Inch Nails version, Daniel?
I don't think I've heard the Nine Inch Nails. If I do, I don't remember.
He
Okay, that,
Johnny Cash does it justice. Trent Reznor puts a lot of emotion in that song.
But it sounds completely and entirely different.
Yeah.
It sounds like a completely different written song. But it's not. It Yeah, it's a pretty dang powerful version that Frank Rittner does, but t- uh, Johnny Cash's version of it was like the iconic to me. Um, I've I've never heard like a redo that I thought was better than the original. But
Johnny Cash redid a lot of songs on a couple different albums, and Man, he was a master at them. He could hear what they were saying and then transfer it his way.
Well, hey guys, it's been cool talking to you here, but I'm ready to fall asleep, and it's not because you're boring, because you're not. No, I got to take this one med, and it puts me out. So
we done run balled off because we were talking about music. But yeah, I'm not far behind you, Daniel. But before you go, Daniel, I got a couple things to show you. 44, 429, 215 in Georgia Bulldog Red from Columbia Coatings. Good bullet. This is the Keith bullet 44. That is pewter. I like that color. That's about a 255 grain 44 caliber bullet. That's the original Keith design for 44 Magnum. And one more. This is the Lee bullet in Eastwood Copper Penny. It's a 240 grain round nose. And that's Eastwood Copper Penny.
I like that color.
Yeah, something's up with that color. It usually turns out a lot more copper looking, whereas that's more of a gold color. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
So I
I'm
probably
still
mix.
digging.
Okay, cool. Well, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Oh yeah, probably going to end up going ahead and drawing this down tonight. Just glad everybody was able to make it. Um, Daniel, you got anything coming up, or now that you got all the housework done, or are you just catering to the wife?
Well, I just posted a video today, so you'll see why I'm just going to be taking care of the wife for the rest of the hunting season. I'm done. So now it's just going to be putting up with
Yeah, if
this
she was
cold
out there
weather.
before you, she's going to be out there after you, and you've already got your meat in.
I only went hunting twice, and it's on video in under 2 minutes. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
That he was recording.
And I don't try to make it
How
longer.
about you, Jamie? What you got coming up this week?
Work selling a Can-Am Spider. Elections in Christian Motorcyclist Association, so I'll be busy. Hunting Saturday. Hopefully, I'll get one, and maybe I can make a video too. So I got to go check out Daniel's videos. Friday night, 8 o'clock, Georgia Shooting Connection. Hope y'all join us.
Awesome. Yeah. And Hot Pot, what you got coming up this week?
Work, reloading, shooting, cleaning guns from today. Went out to the range with Chris from the 740, Keith, Christian, and Ms. Hotshot, and did a bunch of shooting. A lot of fun. Other than that, man, just trying to get along the best I can. Living the dream.
Well, just keep it dry, because, those other ones aren't quite what they're all made out to be. So, yeah, thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank my illustrious panel members, everybody jumping in for me tonight. Next week should have the Scottish American back, hopefully, And thank you everybody for jumping out in the side chat. Appreciate you all. Um, and I've got a couple of things coming in. I'm hoping that I'll be able to have the opportunity to make videos on them. If so, I probably won't get them edited. But as always, keep the magazines loaded and one in the chamber. Woo!